I'm curious first to just get your overarching view of what you just heard. A tale of two speeches, but certainly a theme.
I thought, Harris, that was pretty much the perfect event for the Trump campaign. You had the impression of a team. It wasn't just Donald Trump. You had Governor Pence, I think, doing a great job there. It was focused on an issue which is a real issue for millions of Americans who are going to be voting in a few days' time, something that really affects their lives, not like some of the other stuff we've had to deal with in this election campaign, and actually setting out a really clear message, not just of what's gone wrong, but specifically how they would improve healthcare. Now, we can quibble about the details, but purely as a campaign event, I thought it was pretty spectacularly good.
All right. Well, there was one point where we all kind of sat up, and it's when Donald Trump talked about Obamacare, specifically how he sees it. Watch.
The president said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, which may go down as one of the great political lies of the century. Even the skeptical Democrats believed him and approved the legislation. There were Democrats that were very much against it, but they believed him and they approved it.
So, Sandra, you and I were talking just last week about the thirst for maybe more detail for his repeal and replace. Did you get it today?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really, to your point, Steve, a very powerful performance by both of them. And his running mate, Mike Pence, I think we were all sitting here listening together saying, wow, this is I mean, 7 days out, this is a pretty powerful message that they're putting out. And in fact, at one point, Pence tied both big headlines, Obamacare and Hillary Clinton's email scandal together, saying we can't trust Hillary Clinton for our health care any more than we can trust her with classified information. That was a very calculated message that he put out as well.
So back to the little bit that we just saw, Julie, and this whole idea of the greatest, one of the great political lies of the century. What are your thoughts?
You guys, it's 7 days out. Donald Trump just pivoted. We've been waiting for the pivot all this time. This
what
is
are you
it.
talking about?
This is what
He's been giving this speech for a while.
He has, because all I've been hearing about is all I've been hearing about is him defending his himself against allegations against women. I have been paying a lot of attention, but the problem for him is he's always taken it personally. This was the substantive speech he should have been giving for the last 6 months, if not longer. And I think that's actually, I agree with you, Steve. This was a great speech. This is the speech he should have focused on. But look at the headlines that have emanated over the last few months. They haven't been this. This is exactly what he should have said all these years.
But we found out from the federal government what really is going on with a double-digit. I mean, look at Arizona, 116% in premium increase. So the news has been made in just the last few days, Julie. I would argue that this would be on time in terms of the news being made. What do you think, Lisa?
Well, I think what we saw from Donald Trump, and if there's ever a time for him to start being on message, now is the time when you're seeing
or 6 months ago.
Well, that would have been nice, but but he has been giving this speech, and what's important for Donald Trump right now is sort of laying out the two visions for America. Either we're going to have someone like Hillary Clinton who is going to continue failed policies like Obamacare, and it is failed policies when you have insurance premiums increasing by double digits, and not only in Arizona over 100%, but in places like Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's
specifically
above 150% around there. So
a lot of retirees in that state.
Exactly. So it is a failed policy. And so what Donald Trump is offering something different. And that's what he is running as a candidate, is the change agent. If you want change in America, if you're unhappy with the direction of the country, I'm something different. And we have seen a lot of lies from Democrats in terms of Obamacare. Jonathan Gruber said that Obamacare was meant to exploit the stupidity of the American people, but they're not stupid, because Democrats lost by historic margins in 2010 and 2014 because of this law, and I guarantee it's going to affect them once again in this presidential election.
But there's two problems with that. One is we've seen this campaign before. It was called the Romney-Obama campaign. A lot of it centered on Obamacare, and Mitt Romney lost that. The second problem with this is, by the way, I think this is a very strong message for Donald Trump, and it's an effective message, especially in light of the news that you just talked about, Harris. But I think the problem for Trump is not just to repeal this law, but what you're going to do to replace it. So you're not going to take away millions of people off the health care rolls that were added on. What are you going to do with those people? How are they going to get care?
Maybe we got, and Steve, maybe we got a little bit more of an idea. I mean, you heard Governor Pence talking about the Healthy Indiana plan. He went in detail. He talked about Medicaid and how it's not only broke, it's broken. I mean, he had some of those stump speech lines in there, but to actually have a plan that he could put side by side,
I thought it was much more powerful than what you're hearing from the other side. So if you look at the election as a choice, everyone is agreeing that there's a fundamental problem with Obamacare. The Clinton campaign agrees with that, because you can see...
Even when they tried to silence Bill Clinton, he was trying to say it.
Right. Exactly. And you can just see in the real world, people are really suffering because of the payments. And so what you get from them is really vague in terms of what they would do to fix it. Whereas at least here, you've got health savings accounts, you've got more competition, you've got the principles of real reform.
In fairness, she has been incredibly specific about changes that she would make to this law, including individual payer. Not single payer, but incredibly specific. You should go to her website. He's been very non-specific.
Different from single payer.
All he wants to do, very different from single payer. All he wants to do is repeal it. What's he replacing it with?
Yeah, you know what the problem is right now? That's not what she's talking about.
It's not. She's talking about something totally unrelated.
Emails. We'll move on.